del tawa number to be kolsani ni des tata dan cheta si 제발 tawa si tati ni pe nenga chimbore nganazo 직 여바 주비인데 주체 맞은 받지네 직 탐제 여바존데 직 거네 렘버 주배양 렘버 뭐tum나 여사 잠이 시킨 따디 달타시 거래 오다 렘버 뭐투버레 지가라 베트게 데메도 에네 베 고제니 양 체달롱도야 된디 용구요래 오다 띵디가라 따지기 타니디 시과데 시운 내 첨버를 해서 수라 디시베이나 디 위텔라 다직 동반인스 라신기 마투나야 되니 에네페 타니도 민향 따여 잠지기 에네페 타니 진조시베 타니 에니 딘디 위 라신기 마투나 에니 레자제 탐제 민향 잠지 자투비제다 우마서 우멜타와시데 와다 텐디질 고고디 와다 내 첨버리서 순고아레스
So on page 131, I think I have to change battery.
라
Page 131. There's a scope for two kinds of mistake in realizing the pure view of selflessness, the views of eternalism and nihilism. So these are the two kind of most likelihood of realizing in mistake. So two kind of the mystics here. One is says eternalism, and another one is nihilism. And eternalism and nihilism, these two comes when say when we say the things exist, the existence of things, and especially when you posit the existence of things, inherently or independently or intrinsically, then you need to kind of know, the measure. When you say things exist, what do you really mean by, the existence? And so, if you don't know that well, there's a risk of falling into this existence, the existence into this eternalism. On the other hand, when we say things lack inherent existence, lack independent existence, when we say they don't exist, what do you mean by they don't exist? So if you don't know, again, to kind of hold the right measure, you can fall into a lack of inherent existence means or equal to nothingness. So there's the true kind of the risk or mistake that one might fall into when talking about the mode of existence. So we need to know what do we mean by exist inherently or does not exist inherently. And because knowing these two extreme, one will be able to posit or understand middle way philosophy that comes into the exactly kind of middle between these two. So understanding that things by nature is emptiness, or when we say dependent arising, that things does not exist independently, inherently, truly, but however they exist merely at the level of designation, and that way of mode of existence does everything that we expect things to do, although they exist merely at the level of designation, but their functions properly. There's no problem, anything with that level of existence. So So therefore, it is important to kind of understand properly what we mean by lack of inherent existence on the one hand, and on the other hand, things do exist, merely at the level of designation or imputation. And so when you understand, one perspective here is that when you understand true extreme, that means you will understand what do we mean by the middle way path.
Oda norni yo marta ta yopala me pertawata ta ta me per yo tawa cheta sigore tani ngaji te sel gore men dengi yore sand sambaina te lohyunjirwa yuen dengi yo mare san te lohyunjirwa tiniga sel gore.
So both are problem here, those two extreme. If things doesn't exist, and in your mind, if you have this idea that things does exist, whatever might be the ways of existence, something that doesn't exist in reality, and if you, in your mind, you think that exists, that is a wrong, a distorted view. On the other hand, things doesn't exist at all, but in your mind, you think that they does exist, although that doesn't exist in reality. That is also a fault. So both are again here, kind of a two distorted view.
Kanche umil tawa sidikala sidil kilde sidil tani selve tani gi niga selve any wichi like kills jung se ase chagorwa what tani selve will tawa tela umil tawa se ase chabre.
So middle way, when we say middle way, what it implies is that it is not any of those two extreme. It is right in the middle. Free from those two extremes. That's what we mean by Tibetan words Uma or middle way philosophy.
Oda di quadil odusia seljadingi chadiores ta chenung chenam tenjungdu semetuba tennis separ tawa tata yanindu formula zungingi sangdu tenjung rajingi tuba jitundu neba tongne rajimeba tamjebe don semetubetse tabartawa ta gyanrendu phawar kirwe ripi gyabo tenjungla ngates matebujibale kanji henle keba temake tela ngo niki hyame henla rale kande tongbarche kanji tongi shede bayo min jeda oda tingune oda kanche tontate kanche ripi jabo tendriki sengtigi oda tisuno gore kanche kienle kiwa tamche ngoni kiwa mare sutu kiwa mare ranjingi kiwa mare jenle tani kiwa raseta kienla rale tentida eni ranjingi tuve tongare yang tusini suno kudwa oda tisu kwade lengua de tusre se sungore. En samla umi jungtendena eni ngoni sedela yulchuni la jara yongore ngachala shara yongore tandati ngachala shar gore ngoni ki kyame se ada ngoni de ranjing ki tubi kyame se ngachala shar oda te sungore.
Page 131. When all internal and external phenomena are validly established as dependent arisings, all nihilistic views will be driven far away. When the meaning of the assertion of the lack of inherent existence is validly established through seeing the contradiction of not finding a common factor between dependent arising and inherent existence, all eternalistic views will be left far behind. In praise of dependent arising, the king of reasoning, the questions of Anawatapta, king of the Naga Sutra, says, anything produced from condition lacks production, for it is not born from its own entity. Whatever depends on conditions is explained as empty. Whoever understands emptiness is at ease. So here, as the word says, anything produced from condition lacks production. Lacks production. This production refers to production or producing from inherent production, intrinsic production. That's what is production means here. For it is not born from its own entity. Whatever depends on condition is explained as empty. Whoever understands emptiness is at peace. And lack of inherent true existence. Again, true existence, has a different interpretation. Sometimes it means it refers to natural way things exist, and sometimes it refers to the object of negation or refutation. That is what is referred here.
That in man, Lord Guinness, the Jaya Martan, Tontachiba, Kondo Gavata, Jubale Kanjum, Mumputin Rapjumwe, Topandita, Tapper Minipa, Tijir, Tenju Ripanditani, Tengen Tawata Chaperche, Jesuma, Pata Zember to be Tawangamba, then to Giltavel, Tawangamba, Tawat Chigri, Tenjung Tawak, Tesum, Jesum. Teta Namni Kanzatan, Chigidame, Ribe Ugone. 오건배출 너점도 접아인라 된다왜 간사당 최장신님의 동반이 주네 남게인 바로 추꿀라 저다메 바로 캬베 세 녀체베 동바점 민기 캬베 동반이다 델다르 말 라진기 미동와라 리베지 지베 동바도 송왈타부 뢰 캡적기 동바 마인바 예donne 동반이당 델다르 동바르 덴람밤네 자체 세메 주반 저 미시베 세메 동바 더부 마임바라 넘군 초등기 동바 니당스 리유 고유 또유 메비 뢰유란데베 주니 마임바라 또신 콩도 주발레 등네비 동바 마이노 또시 콩도 주발라 디바니 빠차도 제발레 돌네 타르바탄 탐제김베 고방 대바 숨긴 루에 림바 루베 집에람 루바 집에람 지로 세다 와다 디 수야다 가르서면 오네 송이기 따와대 직 오네 답 딜사데 덴두블렌 들기와레 동일 따와게 답에 덴진 까거와레 나한테 크로아 친지데 덴진기 친기와레 제자 타반등이 있는다 탐지 김베 고방 등이 있나 덴진 뉴메도 마상와 린스 잘라도 마서바지 디 토비아코나요 말에 딘디가라 땅원에 저바 야와탄지 긴저바지빌람 딘진 에베 잘라도 땅데 딘진 넘버는 딘진 슈메다 송일 따와 뭐마차래 절람 뭐마차 다 송일 따와데 딘디 인디가라 땅원인디 yawa tamchaki nrobachi belamre se sungre. Oda di songi tawa nipa tuijinda tangayala shitikbi nyambon royala chanchuki sem nyamlen chini kongu kudaya minipi nyamde tukuware. Oda di indikala kanchi songi kanchi karayi nima nangazu kasu tuptupchi nillen sunsen chik samlo kasu kortuwine di tola yang yangdo samlo tang yang yangdo te to etu 에투 레지점지 고 만탈란 레지점지 고차 고차 에투다에 게 점버리스 네 딜자상스
Also the supplement says page 131 middle by virtue of the reasoning that things arise in dependence upon each other, it is impossible to impute such conceptions of production from self, other, and so forth. Therefore, by using the reasoning of dependent arising, the net of all wrong views is severed. So all wrong views refers to wrong views that things exist independently or inherently or intrinsically or objectively or inherently. These techniques for meditation on the selflessness of persons and phenomena through reason analysis have been explained in brief. This very emptiness, which is a lack of inherent existence of persons or phenomena, pervades everything from form to the omniscient mind. It is not as if it were something merely occasional, for emptiness is totally pervasive. Moreover, it is not as if we search with reasoning for something that was not naturally empty before and arrived at emptiness. this would be an emptiness contrived by the intellect, yet it is not so. Emptiness has been present from the very beginning. Having established emptiness in such a way, it is not as though it is the emptiness of the nihilist, who do not know how to establish the validity of action and agent, for emptiness is always preeminent. Nor is it as if emptiness is something beyond perception that we cannot be aware of, understand, or cognize. Nor is realizing and impressing emptiness on our minds without significance. For in cognizing and comprehending it, we were released from the two obstructions, together with their instinctive propensities, and are admitted to the ranks of liberation and omniscience. Thus, realization of emptiness is the sole path along which the hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas of the three vehicles proceed. So, why, as mentioned here, this understanding of emptiness is the sole path to attain, enlightenment, because understanding of emptiness, the target of emptiness is, self-grasping or truth grasping, and this truth grasping is the root cause of, rebirth and cyclic existence. So emptiness is the direct antidote to destroy, the seed from its very root. So therefore, without understanding of emptiness, there is no way to attain, this liberation. That's why it's called soul path, along which of the three vehicles proceed, and with the understanding of emptiness, and when you have an understanding of emptiness with the altruistic mind, then that becomes further kind of stronger, and becomes antidote for from the two obscuration, cognitive obscurations, and therefore to attain enlightenment. So here it is important to kind of, although I said before, a difficult concept, but doing our best to contemplate, to think about, as much as we can about, emptiness, and even just to have what we call generic, understanding, not actual understanding, but overview understanding of emptiness. So it is important to kind of do our best to get some kind of understanding of what emptiness, or how things exist in reality. As you said, we'll stop here for today, and you can ask questions if you have. No questions? Yeah. No.
In the Arya Samgata Sutra, one of the Buddha's disciples asks him about what happens to people who maintain nihilist view.
Yes.
Buddha said, it's very, very bad. They just disappear. Could Geshe-la explain that? Discuss it.
Dojik narosang did that chiwad kush dikush karsa mechikida the sanyela dinaro tanda de cheta ke tawa de simna ani tawa de khala chede ke tawa simna ani ta long do de lawole
tache kare lungwaina umil tawa nye yo marwa
ki tanda khar lawole lo to
seltal nena umil tawa to gumar to thu marwa zembar me da temel kwaina ta umil tawa ngebenye koran yo mar te medigala umil tawa manyena denzile ne gumar denzile manela to korwa korea ta kanchi keke gumeson chaparo.
What was the last word you said? Disappear?
I think the language was that when Vajrayana asked him what happens, Buddha said, don't ask this question. And he answers by saying, they just burn up. They just, they're gone. They just...
Cordona the Resunjan Sanje, the language that you had the Kijamati Ocean, the Sunshine, the Chiwakungi, the Galota, the Mewa Child or Yech Malaw, the little totally turned out over Lagos or Kurang.
But it is up again Chitu Javin Dujan Cheltagitiki, Tijin and Nay, and Chumdendigi, Masun Juatene, Yungore. Kanji Cheltagi, Chepeltawat, Cheltala Nebaina, Umiltawato to Gomarta, Altanena, Umiltawato Umari, Chetanena, Umiltawa, Tiny the Pangur, sell the mother, Umiltawa the Net 2 Yomaris. Don't that it is.
So here the main point is you're saying that in order to understand middle way philosophy and therefore attaining of liberation and able to eliminate the root cause of cyclic existence, it doesn't matter whether nihilist or eternalist, whichever concept that you hold, it means that you won't get to middle way philosophy. But however, here it depends on, you were saying that it depends on the when Buddha remained quiet or says that I don't have an answer, depending on that particular questioner, Buddha would sometimes his answer would vary. Sometimes he would say he just keep quiet. Sometimes he might give different ways of answer, but generally. The main point here is that whether you hold eternalist or nihilist view, it means you are not going to.
어느 점든데 땅 어선하지 마라. 점든데 배 강가인 배 치트집엔 들절라 섬로 가려다 차상지 긴 거래. 걔는 네가라 파절은 내지나 숭을 머숭어다 펜도체이나 얘네 머숭 주샤 거라.
And the Buddha, when asked question, unlike ordinary people, being enlightened being, sometimes intentionally he does not answer, remain quiet, because that way it would be more beneficial to the somebody who asked that question. And so he might have, depending on the situation, he might have remained quiet, or might have said that go away or no. So. le Quran the sanje len ge de jare sa din de gi cheda simge je na khalo gore the mewa cha do le law re ta ko lo si do le law re din de ro shlasta
ta chi zena kanji cheda le ne ba yeno khoral to dugo marwa legyune mewa ta vel tawa che na khoral to dugo mare di khoral matol na ta ko khorena ko di na nendi girwa ene dungal ki medona zapar.
So it might mean you're saying that when you don't have understanding of middle way philosophy, that means you are bound to fall back in cyclic existence, and therefore there is an unending suffering, and it would be like that suffering will burn you. That might be, he's saying, that might be meaning here, but.
삼선은 가서 고 동알기 갸종기 매동첨보다 된데 타니 저저거도 왔던지 나다 매동을 자 있는데 티는 냐나다 배 지야 소리지로 왔다.
Sometimes we do find this kind of metaphor in text that the cyclic existence suffering is like a fire falling in a pitfall fire, so it's like a burning from and.
I guess the way I read it, I need to bring it to you instead. It seemed as though he said they just cease to exist.
Cease to exist only.
The way he said it, the language was burned up, but I got the impression that there was a cease. It was just gone.
그런 데를 고선사 얘네들 갈로 기업하게 책 배주 당단 나오래. 네 갈로 지금 매와 차중인데 예월 중에도 있는데 공에도 있도서 지코랑 그 식심 코라는 거로 있잖아.
다 인도에다 인 다 동이 맞다다 그예 그런 요 말대다 간지 그러동알 기자전에 티도 그러세요. 그러동알 기 매동하기도 와. 동알 기 매동을 쓰는 근데 참마다는 다 lunga nyangiri se da koina to yaga zuri mide sita tendenjing en lapching marba.
So you're saying that burn up, it seems more kind of appropriate in a sense, burning up with the suffering rather than, I don't know, disappear or just, that's what he thinks.
yen roge na te songi wa kona mido.
So getting disappeared for that kind of thing, emptiness is not really needed.
Kaje 타니가 selgu 그래 세대 따게는 로송 타니데 치고 뭐래 타니가 문진제다 타니 sel해야 돼 디마이나 예 간사가 다음에 주기 다음에 가레이나 예 디코아데 렌투야 말 타니가 마sel나.
So important thing here is that one has to free from both extreme, and without freeing from both extreme, one won't be able to understand those two selflessness, and therefore won't be able to understand or get to this middle way philosophy.
Yeah. Done. Karirawe Kurvejin Kamse Pendande
Jere Siwa Tenzin Jasoi
Jabezi de Bardo Dengu Jambal Pauri Chitra Kemba Kondo Sambo Jisum Shabe Gawa Tanche Gimo Kana Chodo Wada Gajin Tawan Sambo Chutira
Snow White Mountains, the source of all happiness and benefit. Falls near person, charity, changing jars of remain Jesus. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri to attain omniscience and summon the water to, so now I too dedicate this mass to train it for all. As all the victorious Buddhas are past, present, and future, praise education district. So now I too dedicate this source of my merit for all beings to perfect good actions.